Buenos dias, todos. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Oh man, I gotta get used to saying good afternoon. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Jump on in. Come on in. Romy Marlowe coming to you live for Uncommon Ministry. Good morning, Angelique. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Hello, hello. When you jump in, please say hello in the comments. We made it this morning. It is so smoky where I am. You guys have no idea. It is so bad. We have forest fires raging all around us, everywhere but where I am, actually. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's a little bit scary. If you look at the weather, you'll see that in Canada, I'm in Canada, I'm in northwestern Ontario, which is kind of like central Canada, and we have massive forest fires raging in regions all around us. The skies have been gray for 3 or 4 days. There's ash landing on the cars. The quality of the air is brutal. We haven't seen the sun in days. I've never seen anything like it. We're breaking records. This has not happened in years and years. So I woke up a little bit headachy today because it's been so crazy. Good morning, Angel. Hi, Daniel. So good to see everybody. Thank you for joining. Confirm. Good morning, Tab. Good morning, Juanita. Hey, Ash. Hi, guys. Make sure that you share this out to your people. We're going to have a really good conversation this morning. You guys, we've been on fire. We've been lit up. I love all of the TikTok, like, whoa, whenever somebody sends hearts and stuff like that on TikTok, it goes crazy. The crowds go crazy. Good morning, Carla. Thank you for being here. How are you doing, sis? Good morning, Joanne Sparks. So wonderful to see everybody. You guys, we're going to have such a good conversation. We are going to talk about ascending. We're going to talk about rising up. We're going to talk about the fact that it doesn't have to be hard. I just had a really beautiful conversation this morning with a woman who I met at the conference. We had a really great chit chat. We had a coffee chat this morning. And I said to her, it doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy. Well, no, not easy, sorry. It doesn't have to be hard. It can be simple. Not going to be easy all the time, but it can be simple. It can be simple, meaning that the path can be clear. That doesn't mean that there won't be obstacles that we need to face, right? It's not always going to be easy, but it will be simple. Simplicity means A, B, C. Move forward. There's going to be an obstacle. Okay, what do? We make it simple. And I know that there are so many people, so many women in my world who desire to rise up, who are made for more. They know that they're made for more. They're ready to do more. They're tired of playing small. They're tired of living their lives based on other people's rules. They're tired of feeling that we feel when we know that we're supposed to be doing more and we're not doing it. There's no worse feeling than that. There's no worse feeling than knowing that there's a calling in your heart, that there's a calling on your life, and you're just not doing it because you're afraid, or because you're worried about what other people are going to think, or you're worried about failing, or you've lost your confidence. You've lost your self-esteem. There are things that you have lost along the way. And so this morning we're going to rebuild. We're going to light it back up because you are meant for such a time as this. And we're done waiting. We're done twiddling our thumbs. We're not waiting for Monday. We're not waiting for the check to come in. We're not waiting to lose 15 pounds. We're not waiting for somebody to approve. We got to stop waiting. This is what women do. We wait. We wait for for our greatness to be activated. And my question is, what are you waiting for? You can be great now. You can make an impact now. You can be on fire now. Now, maybe there are things that you're going to want to do in the future. Hello, TikTok. Thank you for being here, everybody. There might be things that you're going to do in the future, but you don't need to wait to be great. Write that down. That's the first thing I want you to write down. You don't need to wait to be great. Good morning, Jackie Carroll. How you doing, sis? So when we come onto these calls, we get a coffee, we get a candle, we get all lit up for Christ, and here we go. Here we go. Okay? We're gonna dive right in this morning. We're gonna dive right in. Do you like my earrings? Aren't these the prettiest earrings? I got these earrings in Guatemala, and I want to wear them all day, every day, because they're just so happy. They make me happy to wear. All right, so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about one person in your world right now who knows that they're made for more, or who you know is made for more, and they're not doing it. They have yet to ascend. In other words, they know that there's, thank you for the flowers. They know, thank you, Kim. They know that they're meant for more. You know that they're meant for more. And they've yet to actually tap into it. And there's a reason. They've probably, if you were at conference with them, I'm just gonna move this out a bit. Give me a sec here. Maybe you were at conference and you sat down with them. And when I say conference, I'm talking about the conference in Atlanta, because a lot of the women who were on here were at conference. Put a heart in the comments if you were at conference. Aren't they fun, Juanita? Next time I go to Guatemala, I'm going to bring a whole bunch of these earrings back and put them on my store. I just love them so much. They're so happy. So I want you to think of somebody who you know outside of yourself, who you know is made for more, and they simply are not stepping into it. And there's a possibility that they've said to you, I know that I'm made for more. I don't know what's wrong with me. Or I want to be doing this, this, and this, but I'm just afraid. Or I'm waiting for fill in the blanks, so I haven't done it yet. And I want you to tag them in the comments. The reason I'm saying that is that this live is a really good opportunity for them to get some free coaching, some free support, because you know that Uncommon Woman and the Uncommon, so these lives that we do every day is Uncommon Ministry, and I call it that because there are men and women here. But my platform is called the Uncommon Woman. And Uncommon Woman is both mentorship and ministry. So these calls are a little combination of everything. You're going to get some ministry, and you're also going to get some mentorship, right? Because we all need a little bit of support. We all need a kick in the butt. We all need a little wind beneath our wings from time to time. And so we're going to be talking today about 3 things that we can do that will make the path easier for us. Now the scripture that we're going to be referring to, let me see if I can find it now, is Matthew 7 verse 16. So you're going to get out your Bible. I had mine upside down. Okay, you're going to get out your Bible, doesn't matter what Bible you use, and turn to Matthew 7 verse 16. And I just want you to keep it open. All right, I just want you to keep it open so that when we refer to it, it's there. Matthew 7 verse 16. So I'm just going to put a little bookmark here so that I've got it. So we got it going on. But tag somebody in the comments who you know is meant for more and they just simply have not stepped in yet. And if you're that person, then put a heart in the comments. And you know that, hey, Dimitri from Russia, thank you for being here. You know how I like to light a candle, which is a sign that we're going to get moving. I've got my coffee. All right. So the theme in the Uncommon Woman community in the month of July is ascension. So just a quick, here, let me turn my fan down because it's blowing my candle out. One sec. Maybe I'll just turn it off. Okay, because I don't want my candle to go out. I love my candle. Makes me happy. So the theme for the month of July in Uncommon Woman is ascension. So just a reminder, to ascend is to rise. To ascend is to rise above where you already are. So there's you now. To ascend is to move beyond that. It's not to, what ascension is not is the up and down. Okay, that's fluctuation. We're talking about ascension where you become a different version of yourself, a higher version of yourself. You step into the greater version of yourself and you ascend. You continue to move out of who you are and you rise up closer to God. Really, ascension is becoming more like God. It's becoming more of a child of God. The closer that we get to God, the clearer we are about our role and the calling on our heart and the goodness that we carry within us, the more we ascend, right? And what I love about ascension is that when we ascend, when we rise up, we're able to take a different perspective. We're able to reframe everything that we see. The other day, I talked about standing on the shoulders of your story. When you're a woman who's ascending, you're able to stand on the shoulders of the story that you're in and see it from a new perspective. One of the things I love to do with my clients and the women in my community is to reframe. Reframe, reframe, reframe. What does that mean? It means that you have a story or a situation and you used to see it one way. And now you're going to see it a different way. You're going to reframe it. Here, I'll give you an example. Actually, I have this in front of me. So this is just fun that this is here right now. I wasn't planning on doing this, but in 2016, I recognized that, 2018. In 2018? No. I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember what year it was. Doesn't matter. Anyway, back in 2000 and something. I think it was 2018, 2017, in there somewhere. I had a Facebook group called the Uncommon Woman Ministry. Go figure. And the women in that group were all women who had powerful stories because the Uncommon Woman as a platform was built on women's stories. I would encourage women to come in and share their stories in my Facebook group. But there were many women, like hundreds of women. This group was full of about 1,500 women, and there were hundreds of women in this group who never said anything. They were there, but they never spoke up. And I thought to myself, I know that these women have a story, but they're not sharing their story, probably because they're afraid, probably because they don't know how to see their story through any other eyes but through the eyes of pain. And so I encouraged these women to come into this Facebook group and share their stories. And I knew that with 1,500 people in the group and only 20 or 30 women sharing their stories, if that there had to be a better way. I just knew that if I gave women options, that they would possibly come into the group and share their stories in a different way. Because not everybody has the words for their story. Sometimes we don't know how to put our story into words. And it's one of the things that I actually do with women, with my clients, is help them take their stories and reframe them so that they can write about them, so that they can speak about them, so that they can stand on the shoulders of them. But at this point, I just wanted to be able to give these women an opportunity to share their stories. And so I came up with this idea one night when I was in bed. Honestly, no, I was in the shower. I was in the shower and I had this aha moment. And the aha moment was this. If I just asked, this is back when selfies first became a thing. Do you guys remember when selfies first became a thing? like about 10 years ago. Everybody started doing the duck lips. Remember that? That was about 10 years ago. And I thought, everybody's doing selfies. Everybody's got a cell phone. Everyone can take a picture. What if I just give these women an opportunity to share their story through a picture? And they don't need to say anything. They don't need to put it into words. They can just take a picture, and the picture will express the story. And so what I did was I led by example. So I wrote the word courage on my neck. At the time, you guys, my head was shaved. You're going to see a picture most of you probably haven't seen before, because I had left an emotionally abusive relationship a few years prior. And it took courage, because he said to me, if you ever leave me, I'll kill you. Now, for those of you who know how scary that is, obviously when somebody says that to you, the first thing you need to do is leave. But also, that being said, when somebody says, if you ever leave me, I'll kill you, obviously there are some challenges around that, right? That can be a very scary thing for somebody to say. Now, I actually don't believe that he ever would have done that, but he thought that if he said that to me, it would stop me from leaving his really crappy relationship, the crappy relationship that we were in. So I left, but it took courage. And so what happened was I decided to take a picture of myself and put the word courage on my neck and then post it in the group. And I flipped it into a black and white filter. And then I posted it in the group. And I shared a little bit of my story. And I said, this is an invitation for you to share your story in a picture format. Here's what I want you to do. Write a word on your body that represents your story. It could be fear, it could be addiction, it could be mastectomy, it could be courage, it could be growth, whatever you want, cancer, they got to write whatever they want on their body, flip it into a black and white picture and post it in the group. And that can be your story. And if you want to add words to it, you can. And so here is my picture. You guys, that's me. I think this is 2016 or 7. I can't remember. So I wrote the word courage. Actually, I had my brother write the word courage on my neck. And we took a picture. I flipped it into black and white. And I put it in the group. Oh, this is what we're doing in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood. We're doing this in the month of August in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood. You guys, I'll tell you what happened. So I put this picture up. What would your word be? Put it in the comments. What would your word be? I put this picture up in the group. And let me tell you what happened. A tsunami of pictures came in. And we went from having a group that was quiet, where women were afraid to share their stories, to a black and white gallery of over 150 images that has been shared across Canada in art galleries, in cafes. I mean, I'm telling you, there's a whole situation. Was that 2018? Hi, Dana. We reframe. That's ascension. This is ascension. When you take your pain and you turn it into power, and then you use it to inspire other women. When you use it to inspire other women, that's ascension. So just so you know, if you want to be part of our Uncommon Woman Sisterhood, the gallery that we're going to be building, this is one of the things that we're going to be doing in August within the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood. And I am so excited about it. And I hadn't even said anything yet. But I did say that there was going to be something really amazing happening in there. But you have to be in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood to be part of the gallery. We are ascending, ladies. This is what we're doing. Resilient. Okay, wait, I want to look at the words. Juanita said resilient. Valerie said renewal. Oh, I love that. You guys, this is so powerful. I'm looking at the words. Humble. What are some other words? What? Okay, I hope you guys already muted this guy. You guys are taking care of business up there, I'm assuming. Right? Are we getting rid of, what's his name? The one that said something stupid. Why do people say dumb things? It's going to be beautiful, right? Okay, so Sarah said resilient. Yeah, we are going to do it again. Get into the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood. If you're in the Uncommon Woman Sisterhood, this is part of what we're doing in the month of August. We're going to start our brand new black and white gallery. We're going to go in and we're going to reframe our stories. Thank you, sis. All right, alignment. Amazing. That's so good, Natasha. I love you, sis. I'm so excited for you to do that. All right, so here's what we're going to be doing. Genuine. Oh, I love that. This is so good. Look at your beautiful words. All right, so one of the greatest upgrades God can give us isn't about our business. It isn't about our money. It's not about having a bigger platform. It's not about having more influence. It's about discernment. And when we're looking to ascend, we have to be discerning. So remember, sorry, I'm shifting over into the lesson because I want to make sure that we get to the lesson, but it's all connected. Thank you for the stars, because remember this much, that the last 2 days we've talked about relationships, right? We've talked about friendship. We've talked about relationships. We've talked about how to get a God's guy. We've talked about the clear path to finding the right kind of love, to the right kind of community, to the right kind of support. Well, when it comes to ascending, when it comes to becoming the woman that you desire to be, you also have to be discerning. I love that, Terry. Persevering. I love it. Discernment will save you years of pain. Discernment is what makes things simple for us. It doesn't make it easy, but it makes it simple. It's a simple yes or a simple no. It will protect your purpose and it will preserve your peace. So today, the topic of this live is that your ascension gets to be peaceful. How do we ascend? How do we become the women that we want to be? How do we become the women that we know we're supposed to be, but do it peacefully? How do we create a world and an environment around ourselves in this journey that's peaceful? Because, excuse me, we all know that being discerning and ascending into the women that we are meant to be can cause all kinds of storms around us, right? People don't like watching a woman ascend. What happens when we ascend? We create boundaries in our lives. We say no when we mean no, and we say yes when we mean yes. We don't give ourselves away to everybody. We're discerning with our time and our energy. We start stepping into rooms like church or communities of women of faith, or people who don't gossip, or maybe we stop drinking, or maybe we start going to the gym. There's all kinds of things that we do when we're ascending that ruffle the feathers of the people around us, because other people have a vision of the version of us that they want us to be. And when we start pushing up against that, it makes them very uncomfortable. See, many people pray for opportunities. Few people pray for discernment to know which opportunities belong to them. And this is what we're going to be talking about today. Because ascension, write this down, ascension isn't saying yes to everything. Ascension is learning what deserves your yes and what deserves your no. Ascension is being really clear about what deserves your yes and what deserves your no. But here's the challenge. Not everybody knows what deserves a yes and what deserves a no. This is where your discernment comes in. This is where your growth comes in. So it's really important for all of us to do the work. We need to get clear about who we are. We need to get clear about who we want in our lives. We got to get clear about the things that will work for us and the things that won't. So we're going to talk about 3 points of discernment today, and then we're going to wrap it up tomorrow. So point number 1 is this. And we kind of talked about these yesterday and on Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, we talked about relationships, but I just want to kind of wrap them up by saying every relationship is either building you or draining you. Write that down. Every relationship is either building me or draining me. Yes, yes? It's true. Think about the people around you. Think about the relationships that are around you, the ones that you focus the most on right now, the ones that have the biggest influence on you. They're either draining you or they're building you. And you know who they are. The ones who are building you are the ones that make you feel good. They're the ones that you feel empowered in. They're the people who make you feel safe, solid, and secure. They encourage you. They uplift you. They see their greatness. They have no problem breathing greatness into you because they're people who love and support and cherish you. They're not in competition. They're not asking you to be who they want you to be. They're encouraging you to be the person that God wants you to be. And that's different. Not everyone is assigned to your future. Some people were only assigned to a season. And this is so important for you to remember when you're untying the knot. Remember yesterday we talked about untying the knot. When you're untying the knot with people, just remember, it's okay. Not everybody is meant for you for a lifetime. Some people are only meant to be with you for a season. And when that season is over, you'll know because you feel it. And when you feel it and when you're ready, you simply untie the knot. You don't have to cut the cord. You don't have to make a big deal out of it. It doesn't be aggressive or violent. You don't even have to send them a message. You don't have to let them know, I'm now cutting the cord. No, you just gently untie the knot and let it float away. How do you do that? You create distance. You make yourself a little bit less available because you're busy over here with the people who love and support you. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with people having seasons in your life. Discernment asks these questions, and I want you to write these questions down. You should always have a journal on these calls because there's so much here. So, number 1, is this relationship producing peace? Now, not just is it peaceful now, but is it producing peace? In other words, does it nurture my peace? Does it grow my peace? Do my friends, does this person, I have a girlfriend who for quite a spell, she was really busy. She was going through a lot in her business. And basically every second coffee that we scheduled, she would cancel. And every time she canceled, I would say to her, sis, it's okay. I know that you're in a season right now where you're busy, where you're overwhelmed, you've got so much going on. It's okay. And she always wrote me back and said, you're the one friend I can always count on to understand when I have to cancel. Like, I never made her feel guilty. And that was important for her because at the time, she had so many other emotions that she was carrying that were connected to other things. The last thing that I needed her to feel was guilt. And so I promoted peace in her life. I said to her, you do what you need to do so that your life is easeful in my presence. Like, I don't ever want you to feel that you're obligated to do anything. So is the relationship that you're in producing peace? Is it growing peace in your life? Number 2, does it sharpen your faith? Do these people encourage you to be faithful? And listen, they don't have to be, this is what's so powerful about this. They do not have to be believers. I have friends who are really close to me who aren't actively like in their faith, but they're good, beautiful people. And actually, they encourage me. They encourage my faith. They support it. They fan the flames. They make sure that they saw that I was in Atlanta and they were so excited for me. Some of them came. I did a post today about my, if you saw my Facebook post, I haven't put it up on Instagram yet, but I put a post up today on Facebook and on LinkedIn all about my trip to Atlanta. And some of them came in underneath that post and said, I've seen your transformation and it's so beautiful. That doesn't mean that they're on the same path as me, but they are always supporting and growing me in my faith. They want me to be aligned with my mission and my vision, because when I'm a better friend. Those are the kinds of friends that we need. Sorry, there's something like floating in. It's probably just the smoke, actually, now that I think about it. Does it inspire my growth? So does this relationship inspire my growth? Do these people inspire me to grow? And what does that mean? That doesn't mean motivate. That doesn't mean push. It means that you watch these people and their growth, the way that they live, inspires you to grow and to live better. I don't ever want to be the smartest one in the room. I don't ever want to be the most successful one in the room. I don't ever want to be the person who's growing more than everybody else in the room. I actually want to be inspired by the people around me. I actually want to be moved by the people who are in my world, because I see them doing things and I think to myself, sorry, I'm just going to plug in here. And I think to myself, wow, I need to do more. That's really important to me. So do they inspire your growth? Do you become more Christ-like around them? Are these people, and again, now it helps if they're, believers, because when they're believers, they are obviously going to encourage your faith. Oops, sorry, one sec. I'm just plugging in here. One sec. I have one phone that's losing. I'm telling you. Sorry, Facebook. There, I just had to plug in. It's a hot mess over here. When you are around these people, are you more Christ-like? Do you act more in your faith? Do you move more in your faith around them? That's a good friend. And again, they can have completely different values than you. And yet, they make you a better person. Now, when we're looking at other women of God or men of God, then obviously those conversations are the kinds of conversations that move you closer to Christ. I had a really great roommate when I was in Atlanta, and we talked about God all the time. It was so great to be in a room and share a room with somebody whose faith is similar to mine. We talked about God, we talked about dating in God, we talked about business in God, we talked about the impact of God in our lives, we talked about being more like Jesus, all of that. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful to nurture our faith with one another. But it's okay for us to have people around us who aren't believers, who still nurture our faith. That's really powerful. That's a good friend. That's just me. Am I constantly rescuing instead of relating? Oh, this is a good one. Listen, when people are draining you, when you're constantly rescuing people, there's a problem, right? It's not your job to rescue everybody. Now, this doesn't mean that we don't help those that we love. I'm talking about they can't breathe on their own. You're always giving them your oxygen mask. And it starts to become a one-way supportive relationship. And it's important for you to recognize these relationships, because these are the ones that will deplete you. These are the ones that will start to make you feel resentful. We start feeling resentful when we're not supported, when it's one way. When it's two ways, and it doesn't always have to be equal. You know, it doesn't always have to be tit for tat, but it's just everybody feels surrounded and supported in this relationship. When that is the way that the relationship is rolling, that's a good one. Yes, yes. Okay. Relationships reveal your future. How's that? Think about that. Relationships, the relationships that you're in, baby, they're going to show you what your future is going to look like. They reveal your future. So the people that you surround yourself with are going to be a reflection of what your life is going to look like. So if you're surrounding yourself with people who are couch surfers, who are always broke, who never have anything to offer, who aren't in a growth mindset, who aren't building their business, who aren't doing incredible things with their lives, who aren't serving, if you're just hanging out with people who are just a dead doormat, that is who you will become. But if you're spending your time around people who move and grow and are open and are pushing to be better humans, and you can see that they're led by God, you too will grow. So it's very important to pay attention to the relationships around you. They're a reflection of where you're going. Jesus loved everyone. I love this so much, but he trusted selectively. He had all kinds of people around him, but he had a close circle of people that he was selective about. Not everybody is invited into your, as I call, your hot circle. There are people who are going to be really close to you, and then there are going to be people who are a little bit further out, and there are going to be the people who are up in the nosebleeds. But not everybody gets to be right inside of your hot circle. You have to be selective about that. Who's going to get close to you? Who gets access to your life and your emotions and your business and your relationships and your faith and your challenges and your wins? Because if you're not discerning about that, the wrong people will have access to you and they'll try to take you down. I've been there, and I'm sure you have too, right? Matthew 7:16 says, you will know them by their fruits. Oh, right? Matthew 7:16. Beware of false prophets. This is 7 verse 15. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Are grapes gathered from thorns or figs from thistles? In the same way, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Thus, you will know them by their fruits. Baby, you'll know. You'll feel it. And a good tree will bear good fruit, but a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Trust your intuition. You'll know a good tree and you'll know a bad tree. And if it's a bad tree, cut it down. Take it out of your life. Untie the knot. We've all been there. If there's anybody in your life, remember, we're talking about the simple path to discernment and to ascension. If there's anybody in your life that is stopping you from ascending, if there's anybody in your life who's stopping you from growing, if there's anybody in your life who is not good for you anymore, if there's anybody in your life who used to be here for a reason, but that season is over, you cut that tree down. It's not allowed to poison your plot. It is so important to look at your relationships. And women struggle with this because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Okay, here's my question to you. Do you want to, A, live a life that feels poisoned by people who you should have exited a long time ago? Or do you want to have instead just a temporary discomfort because maybe you have to untie the knot? So there can be a permanent poisoning or there can be a temporary discomfort. I'm going to tell you something. I will take temporary over permanent any day of the week. This is what it means to be a grown-up. This is what it means to be a woman. This is what it means to be somebody who stands on her own 2 feet. Is that sometimes you have to do things that are other people aren't going to like. But when somebody says, I don't want to hurt their feelings, you're not hurting their feelings. You're actually speaking your truth and they're having a response to it. If they're a crappy person, if they're not somebody who deserves to be in your world, you're not hurting them. In fact, they're hurting you. You're not responsible for everybody else's emotional health. You're responsible, however, for your own life and for your own health. Yes, yes. Notice that Jesus didn't say, you'll know them by their promises. He said, you'll know them by their fruit. Is there anybody in your world who makes big promises and doesn't fulfill them? They make promise after promise after promise, and yet they don't fulfill them. They are unable to follow through. It's just not who they are. And you keep hoping that they will eventually change, but they don't. And the pattern is there, and you're ignoring it, and you're hoping because you are amazing and you are beautiful and you are brilliant and you're hoping they're going to see it. Baby, it's not about you. It's not about whether you're brilliant or beautiful or smart. It's that you've accepted their pattern and they know that they don't need to change in your presence because you allowed them in and allowed that pattern to be part of your life, part of your relationship. And so why would they change? This is the problem. People let patterns go on for years and then they want to see it change. And they're like, why? Why will I change it when I've had access to you for all this time? This is why relationships that are old, that don't have a season anymore in our lives, need to be let go. I am not responsible for others' emotions. Amen, Stephanie. Who consistently leaves you with peace? So they leave your space. You get off the phone, or you've seen them in person, or you've got a message from them, and you feel peaceful afterwards. Who are those people? Those are your people. Who consistently leaves you confused? Is there anyone in your world who leaves you feeling confused all the time? You hear from them and then you don't hear from them. You see them and then you don't see them. They say one thing, but then they do something else. Who confuses you? Those aren't your people. This is what I mean by the simple path. You just ask yourself simple questions. If this person is confusing me all the time, I need to just zoom out and look at it. They're trying to confuse me. They want me to be all over the map. They want access to me when it works for them, and they don't want access to me when they don't want it. And it doesn't feel good, and I know it. So I'm out. But the people who make you feel peaceful, you'll know who they are right away, because every time you're around them, it feels like an exhale. It feels like safe, solid, and secure. Confusion is often information. When somebody's always confusing you, pay attention. I often say to my clients, this thing that you're going through right now, you can be emotional about it, or you can use it as information. You can simply use it as more evidence and more information for something that you probably already know. It's just information. You can put it in a box and close the lid, or you can keep it in front of you and say, this is just another example of how this person doesn't leave me peaceful, or this person is not aligned, or this person's season is OVER, over. It's information. Okay, so point number 1, just to be clear, was every relationship is either building you or draining you. Okay, point number 2, discernment pays attention to patterns. Okay, we're going to move quickly now because I've got about 14 minutes left. Discernment pays attention to patterns. Write that down. People reveal themselves through repetition. What they keep doing over and over is showing you their truth. Believe people when they show you who they are. Character isn't revealed once, it's revealed consistently. Have you ever had an experience with somebody and you were like, that's interesting, and you store it away as information? Because maybe it's a really new relationship, friendship, business, partner. And then you hear something that sounds similar about that same person from somebody else, or they tell a story and they start to reveal their own patterns in the story, and you go, aha, see, this is a pattern. For example, I've been in relationships with men who have patterns. And I've listened to them tell stories about their exes or about the way they dealt with something. And then they'll tell another story. And then they'll tell another story. And I'll think to myself, man, there's a pattern here. And then I have my own patterns. Patterns that have been unhealthy, that I have repeated over and over in relationships. And I think to myself, that pattern right there, that's a problem. Because I am listen, write this down. I am the common denominator in every relationship that I'm in. You are the common denominator in every relationship that you're in, sis. If your relationships are constantly breaking down, if you're constantly dating the same kind of people or accepting and embracing the same kinds of friendships, guess what? It's you, not them. You're in a pattern. So recognize your own patterns as well. A person can have a bad day, but repeated behavior becomes a pattern. Repeated dishonesty, repeated inconsistency, repeated selfishness, repeated excuses, and repeated broken promises. That's a pattern. If you're seeing this over and over, this pattern is a problem. Believe patterns, write this down. Believe patterns, not potential. Believe patterns, not potential. One of the things that I learned over the last several years in dating was that I often would feel a deep connection with people because I started getting clearer about the kind of person that I wanted. But guess what I learned? Connection and commitment are not the same thing. You guys, I was mistaking connection for commitment. And it's not the same thing. And I recognized that I was wanting commitment, and I thought they were committed because we had a connection. It's not the same thing at all. They felt the connection too when we sat there together. But the moment that we walked away, they were over here having a connection with somebody else. And I was like, oh, we're so connected. We're so connected. You know what? I don't care if you're connected or not. Are they committed? Because if they were connected to you in the moment, that's not commitment. And that's not real connection. It's a temporary connection. There's a difference between putting a plug in a wall and pulling it out or wiring it in permanently. You know what I'm saying? Like there are light fixtures that are wired into the ceiling, and there are the lights that we plug in and out. That's the difference between connection and commitment. One is there for the long haul, one is there temporarily, baby. And I hate to be the one to break it to you, but connection is not commitment. Now you can have the two together, but they're not one and the same. Oh, that just about took me down when I read that. I can't remember where I read it. I read it somewhere and I thought, that's me. I was in something that was connection, but there was no commitment. And I had to step away. And it was hard, but I did it. It's not going to be easy, but it's simple. Connection isn't commitment. Therefore, I'm exiting. That's simplicity. The hard part is that it hurts, right? But then we grow and we are like the palm tree. We bend, baby, but we don't break. We build up the resilience with the difficulty because that's what difficulty does. It makes us better, stronger, smarter, faster. And then we don't make the same mistake again. Right, exactly. One of the hardest lessons women learn is this: potential is not character. God never asks us to marry someone's future version. Woo! He asks us to discern who they are today. Think about that. Just for a minute. We say things like, I hope he gets better, or I think he's growing, or he's starting to change. Listen up, sissy. Would you marry the 2 out of 10, assuming that he was going to at some time be a 10 out of 10? Or do you think it's worthwhile to wait till the 10 out of 10 shows up so you don't have to be somebody's mentor or teacher, or you're not living in hope? I mean, this is why people get married and then they get divorced so often, is because they're marrying people who are like a 3 or a 4 out of 10. There's connection, but there's not commitment. And then they recognize that this person was never going to change. I married the 2 or the 3 hoping he would someday be a 10. What was I thinking? People tend to, in relationship, get more relaxed. If you're going to grow, you have to already be growing. That person should already be growing. That growth mindset is already part of who they are. Don't expect somebody to start growing now that they're married to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, where do we get this stuff from? Okay, and then point number 3. This is our last one. Discernment in business. Business isn't strategy. Business is stewardship. What is stewardship? Stewardship is when you are serving for the greater good. It's not about strategy. Now, yes, there is strategy in business, but first and foremost, it's about your calling. It's about your service. It's about the impact that you're supposed to make. And when we're clear about that, when we're discerning about that, it's simple. The path may not be easy, but it will be simple. I know that I am here to serve women, to lift them, to help them heal, to help them grow, to help them rise, and to help them make an impact. Those are the things that I help women do. And I've said that since the very beginning. I help women heal through basically holding up a mirror and saying, here's what's potentially yours if you heal the parts of you that are wounded. Lean into God. Heal. Grow. Rise. And then turn around and help others. That's stewardship. So how is your business? If you're a business owner, how is your business stewarding? How are you serving? What is it that you're doing that's making an impact out there in the world? It should be simple, not easy, but it's simple. This is the thing that moves me. I want to do it in my sleep. It's easy for me. It matters to me. It makes a difference in the world. When I talk about it, I get lit up. Time goes without time flies by me. I don't even realize that the minutes, the hours, the days have gone by because this doesn't feel like work. You guys, the work that I do right here, like this doesn't feel like work for me. This feels like a blessing for me. And this is my work. This is my calling. When I come in these lives every single day, I am working. It's in my schedule. It's part of my calling. But it doesn't feel like work with a capital W. It doesn't feel like the kind of work that I was brought up doing. It's calling because it's stewardship, because it's from God. So how is your business, how is your life stewarding? Every opportunity isn't your opportunity. So this is so important. If it's stewardship, and if it's coming from God, you'll know that it's a yes if it's for you. But not everything is your yes. And it can be tempting, can't it? It's like going into a store and maybe you walk into Louis Vuitton and you see all of these purses that are beautiful, that you're like, oh, I love that. That's me. But do you have $20,000 to spend on that purse? There's a difference between loving it and seeing the value in it and even being attracted to it and having it be for you. Just because you go, oh, that's amazing, doesn't mean that you invest in it. It's the same thing with business. Just because it looks good doesn't mean that it's your yes. Just because someone wants to partner doesn't mean God does. Not every partnership is aligned. Not every partnership is God-led. Not every partnership is a gift from God. Some of them are distractions. Some of them are meant to take you off course. And some of them are great, maybe in the future. But not every single partnership that comes your way is a yes. So be discerning. Be smart. Be aware that people will come into your presence and they'll say, hey, I really want to do this thing with you. I get this all the time, especially with Crush. Everybody wants to be part of Crush because Crush Coffee is a coffee brand and everybody drinks coffee. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are. But there are people that I will not partner with Crush because they're not aligned. Sometimes people want me to sponsor their shag or their stagette, which is like those stag and doe things. I don't know if you guys have them in the States. Before people get married, sometimes in Canada, people have parties and they're like fundraisers and they want me to go and sponsor their wedding fundraiser thing. I'm like, no, that's not even close to what Crush is supposed to be doing. That's not an aligned partnership. An aligned partnership is providing coffee for women who are doing a cancer awareness walk, for example, because we are the sponsor actually of the Luncheon of Hope, which is the breast cancer awareness lunch that is every October. Like that aligns with me. I'm all about a yes with that. But like somebody's fundraiser for their wedding that they're spending $50,000 on, no, that doesn't align. So not every partnership is a yes. You have to ask yourself, does this person or opportunity align with my mission? Does this person or opportunity compromise my values? Does this person or opportunity require me to become someone I'm not? Does this person or opportunity create peace or pressure? Okay, I know it's 1 o'clock, so I'm just gonna finish up. Sometimes people are a distraction, not a blessing. Sometimes opportunities are a distraction, not a blessing. The enemy can open doors too. Not every open door comes from God. So important. Sometimes discernment says, good opportunity, wrong timing. Come on, everybody. Here are some questions for you to think about. Have you ever accepted something because it looked profitable or powerful, or it was a nice shiny object, only to discover that it cost you your peace? I remember several years ago, long time ago, I was in a relationship and I cheated. I was in a relationship years, like this is a long time ago, so it's nobody that anybody would even know here. And I cheated. There was a shiny object that at the time, it felt good. It felt like the right move, actually. It felt like, oh, there's a connection here. Oh, this is better for me over here. And it cost me my peace because it wasn't aligned with my values. It wasn't aligned with who I wanted to be. It wasn't aligned with anything that I wanted. And it cost me my peace. They never found out, actually. But I carried that. And I never felt good about it. And I eventually ended that relationship. It wasn't a super long relationship. So like I said, nobody here would know who that person is. Don't even try to figure it out. Nothing in the last 10, 15 years. But I did that. And I wasn't happy about it. I was in my 30s. And I remember thinking, well, that just messed up everything, because at the time, the relationship that I was in was going through some challenges. And what we needed to do was grow through them. But instead, what I did was I went and got distracted, and I didn't put the energy into the thing that I should have put the energy in. And it cost me my peace. And of course, that relationship ended. He never knew. But he probably felt something off. And I never felt good in that relationship again. We do things because we're human. I have forgiven myself for that. Now it's just a lesson. Everybody's moved on. But the shiny object can sometimes be the thing that takes our peace away. Right? It's not going to be easy, you guys, but it can be simple. If you're in a relationship, you're in that relationship. That's the simple thing. I'm staying here, eyes forward, and I'm committed. It's simple. Is it easy? No. Relationships aren't easy. Business isn't easy. Friendships aren't easy all the time. They're relationships. It's humans dealing with humans. But what's simple is saying, I'm on this path. I'm moving forward. I'm led by God. I'm led by my values. I know what's right. I'm being discerning. If it doesn't bring me peace, if it doesn't make me feel empowered, if it doesn't make me feel safe, solid, and secure, I don't need it. Commitment over connection. Okay, listen up. Uncommon Woman Sisterhood is my membership, my Facebook community. It's a circle. It's a sisterhood. It's a community of women who are growing in God together. We have a call tonight. It's a private membership group. It's $29 a month. It's like 3 lattes. In that group, we are building relationships with other women who are safe, solid, and secure. We're building a foundation for women so that they can come in and be honest and not be judged. We're building a space where women can be seen and heard, where they can share. It's intimate and it's women only. And what happens in groups with women only is different because we say and do and share things in the circle because it's all women who get it. We have a call tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you're not in there, get in there. And then also my one-on-one mentorship, Rose Gold Leadership. I'm always accepting women into that community because I am here. It's my calling to support women who are building businesses, who are ascending into their power, who want to build wealth, who want to build businesses, who want to scale, grow, rise. If you're needing a mentor, if you're ready to take your business to the next level with a woman of God, if you're a woman of God, if you're a woman who's a woman of faith and you want to build, scale, grow, start your business and you need support because maybe you're afraid, or maybe you're ready to grow, but that growth feels scary, reach out. Reach out to my admin, Ash, at info@theuncommonwoman.com, and she'll set us up. Okay? Yeah, tonight is going to be amazing. Tonight we're actually talking about what it means to ascend. And I've got 3 areas that we're going to be focusing on. And I'm so excited for these women because this is ministry and mentorship. Everybody walks away from these calls stronger, more prepared for the day-to-day, more prepared to be a business owner, to be a leader, to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a woman who's single, to be standing on your own 2 feet. That's what we do here. So go to romymarlowe.com to get in the room, and I'll see you guys tonight. Thank you for staying on. I'm sorry it's a little bit after 1. I know it's 1:07. I'm going to head out. I love you. I honor you. Stay uncommon. Tag people in the comments if you think that they will find value in this, and share it out. Share. I love you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 12 for part 2 of this call. We are rising, baby. Let's go.